Good morning, Brussels. Good afternoon, Cyprus. And good start of the year to the entire EU territory and population. With me today is Mr. Dirk vander Schueren, an economist and author of the book, What You Should Know About Politics. Mr. Dirk has extensive knowledge on European institutions and its mechanisms. So today we will have a walking tour of the European Quarter to find out how the European Union works on a day-to-day basis. Since Mr. Dirk is also the founder and president of a Belgian Whisky Society, he has brought for us to taste an amazing selection of 6 whiskies. 1 whiskey tasting per question. We will visit 5 different sites, giving a brief background from each building, drinking 6 different whiskies and answering 6 different questions. So let us begin.
When I arrived in Brussels, I was told that Eurocrats don't really live in Belgium. Well, the truth is, we don't even live in Brussels. We live in a city within the city, a city of suits and ties, suitcases, business cards, business lunches, business trips, conferences, Italian restaurants and Irish pubs, small talks and big debates. We speak at least 3 languages, 2 BAs and 3 masters, studied politics, law, economics. We're policy officers, project managers, program managers, lobbyists, consultants, working for the beauty of the European dream. We're from Romania, France, Spain, Slovakia, Netherlands, UK, Poland and 20 more, all gathered in what some call Brussels. But this is not Brussels. Welcome to the Euro bubble.
We're now standing on Rue Belliard Street. This road is one of the main arteries connecting the European neighborhood and its buildings. In the spirit of infrastructure and logistics, for the movement of human labor, European operations, and the exchange of goods in the European single market, we are outside the Office of Infrastructure and Logistics in Brussels. So, Mr. Dirk, what are we drinking for this location?
Actually, the whiskey we want to taste is a whiskey which has no direct link neither with Europe nor with any of the European institutions or any of the member states. It's an American whiskey. The typical American Kentucky sour mash bourbon. Now, what is particular about this whiskey compared to, for instance, Scotch whiskey, is that this whiskey has to be made of at least 51% corn instead of barley, for instance, or any other type of grain. On top of that, it has to mature in oak casks which have never been used before, which is also a big difference with, for instance, Scotch whiskey. So it gives this type of whiskey traditionally a bit of a sweet, rounded taste, sometimes a bit hard, but really different from the most typical Scotch or Irish or any other malt whiskies.
Okay,
let's open the bottle.
cheers.
Cheers. Sláinte, as we say in Scotch. Sláinte va.
Slightly va.
In drinking whiskey, we first nose it. We have a look at the color, the body, we nose it. See what kind of aromas we can pick out of it. And then we taste it. Slowly, gradually, we take a little sip. We have it move around our mouth before we swallow it, so as to extract as much as possible of the fine tastes which are in this product.
This is very smooth.
It is, yes.
Very
so
smooth.
what do you recognize in it, taste-wise?
I can definitely taste the barrel that you mentioned.
Yeah. This taste is really very typical for a Kentucky bourbon. So any type of Kentucky bourbon you could recognize by the characteristic tastes that this whiskey also have. Then, of course, if you would taste different Kentucky bourbons next to one another, you would be able to distinguish very fine differences in taste. But the overall character, if we would taste it blindly, we would always say this is a Kentucky bourbon.
Wow, let me...
The typical sweetness of the corn, the at least 51% corn, It's very distinguishable in this whiskey.
You can taste the corn.
Yeah,
You can
yeah,
taste
you can.
it.
Well, you know how corn tastes after the distillation process in Kentucky bourbon whiskey. So this is a very characteristic taste.
Okay. You will never find in any Scotch
No.
whiskey. Only in bourbon.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Kentucky
or
bourbon.
Kentucky bourbon, yes. Typically, yes.
After the tasting comes an EU-related question. As with most public administrations, the European Commission's public administration is extremely procedurally strict, while simultaneously remaining efficient, rational, and highly competitive. A public administration of 32,000 technical experts serve the total European population of 450 million citizens. In other words, the 0.0071% of the total European Union's population works for the 99.9929%. And yet, the Commission's public administration remains more efficient than many of its member states. Why is this the case? And more generally, why is it important to have rational and efficient public administrations in our ever more complex economies?
Well, I think the fact that the European institutions, by the looks of it, by the number of staff and so on, look more efficient is that they do not really have to take care of all the nitty-gritty detail of managing society. This is mainly due to what we call the subsidiarity principle, which claims that every matter should be taken care of at the level which is best feasible, best fit for it. Meaning, if something can be done at a very low level, let it be done at a very low level. So
Low level as in the national level?
national or even below, district, province, commune, inside member states you have different layers of governance, of public authority. So the European Union and its institutions are actually a bit above that. They issue directives, guidelines, overall general policy, but they also execute, of course, big support programs through subventions to member states, to societies, companies, to individuals even. But I think the main reason why the European Union and its institutions, by being leaner and yet having a bigger impact, is that they are at the top of the pyramid, if you want, in decision making, and they delegate to the member states, to other entities, to make sure that the overall agreed policies are well implemented.
So the European institutions are more designers rather than implementers.
They are both, but the implementation also remains high level, and a big deal, a very big part of what really matters in society is actually implemented or executed by member states, by country authorities or lower.